Hey guys, what's up? It's Official Tech TV here, and today I'm going to show you just a little tutorial in Photoshop of how to change the color of a texture. So for example, if you found online a texture, I have this blue scratched kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, but you can see it right here. It's blue, and let's say I want to change it to like a reddish, warmer colors like red, yellow, orange. I'm just going to show you how to do that. It's a pretty quick tutorial, but I just thought I'd teach you guys how to do it. Essentially, this channel is just going to be a bunch of tutorials like this and just a bunch of series of tutorials. So if you need anything tech related, you can just come back here, and I'll also have a moderator section set up on my channel. So you can just ask if you have any tutorials on technology, and I can hopefully solve them. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is open up a texture. I have this blue one, like I stated before. You can pretty much find any texture on Google Images, but let's say you found wood and you wanted to change it from just white wood to red or something like that. You can change it to any color. I've just used red in my previous examples. Well, I'm just going to show you how to do that. So you're going to need to load up in Photoshop. This works in all versions of Photoshop. It also is included in Elements, so it won't matter if you have CS3, CS4, or CS5. I'm using CS5, but you can use whatever you want. So the first thing we're going to need to do is come over here to the Layer section and double-click this background layer. If you can see over here, it does have this little lock next to it, meaning that it is locked from changes. So we're going to need to unlock it by double-clicking on it, and then we have to give it a name, so I'm just going to call it background. You can also call it texture, like this. I guess I'll just call it texture, and then you can leave all of this stuff alone and press OK. So now we have our texture layer that is selected. It's the only layer, and now to change the color of it. So what we're going to need to do is go to Image, go to Adjustments, and then right here it will have Hue and Saturation. This is also activated by the hotkey Command U, so if you want easier access to it, you can always do that. So now we have this little dialog box for hue or saturation, and essentially you can just fool around with these settings. You can just change all of the actual color sliders in here, or you can just go to the master, which is the easiest. We also have some presets here, so if you want to preset a color to turn red from blue, you can do that. But for example, if you just want to mess around with it and change it to whatever color you feel like, I suggest going to Default and Master. So now if we mess around with this hue slider right here, it's currently at 0, which means normal. And then if we drag it down, you can see the image is starting to change colors, and the number is starting to get lower into the negatives. So this is how much is applied to the hue, and if we drag it up, you can see that it goes into positive numbers, signified by this plus sign right here, seeing that it's adding to the hue of the image. So now if we want to, we can drag the slider all the way over here, and we can get this nice orange, pale red type texture that I was describing before. And then the next slider is saturation. Now essentially saturation is how much color is in the image, so if you can see, if I drag it down, it turns into this sort of black and white. If I drag it all the way up, it's extremely bright. So extremes are never the way to go, so you can drag it anywhere. For like a nice flat, dullish image, I suggest putting it around -30. I'm going to keep it like that so it's not too bright of colors. But you can choose whatever you want based on the look that you want to get. Now the final slider is lightness, and you're dragging it pretty much from dark to light. It's essentially the same as a contrast slider. So if we drag it to around here, which is near the beginning is roughly here. So if we drag it a little bit up, then you can see it has more of a white layer added to it. And if we drag it down, it's a bit darker. So you can just use this if you need to apply more light. For example, if it's very dark, then you can use the lightness slider, but it's not used as much. So now if we want, we can change the color of this to any color. So I think I'm going to set it to this, it's around -110. It's actually -111, as you can see right here. and it has multiple shades of green. And then all you have to do is click OK. Now one thing, when you adjust the sliders, if it isn't showing up on your canvas of your image, then check and see if preview is checked, because if preview is not checked, then it will just always show you your base image, and then you have to click OK to apply it. But if preview is checked, then you can see right what you are doing while you're doing it. So I'm just going to set this back to 111. And then what you're going to do is click OK. Now the thing about hue and saturation is that once you do it, if you go back into adjustments, hue and saturation, everything is set back to 0. It won't stay at negative 111, so you can just drag it back to 0 and it will be fine. So if I wanted to set this back to normal, I'd have to do negative of what I was currently doing, and so I'd have to set this to positive 111. So that will give us this blue look, but since I messed around with the saturation and also the lightness, I need to adjust it for that. So there we go. If we click OK, it's back to normal. So this has been the first tutorial video in Photoshop of this channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.